America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We will now move on to our statement of publication.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Council being held on this 19th day of July 2021 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti,
Here.
Delina,
Here.
Enriquez,
Here.
Marr,
Here.
Novak,
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Okay, and our professionals, the Business Administrator,
Present.
CFO,
Here.
Engineer,
Here.
Attorney.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'll move on to the approval of prior minutes of the Mayor and Council. Council President, can I please have a motion to approve, subject to correction if necessary? Kevin, at this time, you're still
Yep,
muted,
so-
so if you can...
Sorry about that. I was talking. I make a motion that we approve the minutes as listed on the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, at this point, we're going to move to our proclamation for today. So I will read our proclamation in full. This is designating the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month. It states, whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this county, including Saraville, and whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of the community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services to those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month. And whereas the Borough of Saraville recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now therefore I, Victoria Kilpatrick, Mayor of the Borough of Saraville, do hereby designate the month of July 2021 as Parks and Recreation Month. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I need a motion to accept this proclamation.
I make a motion to accept the proclamation.
Second.
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 And roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we have a need for executive session at this time, so I will now ask Jessica to please read our notice of executive session.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for approximately 5 to 10 minutes to discuss the following matters litigation. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of this public meeting to consider any other matters which may be properly brought before it at this time. The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
At this point, I need a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to take a moment to go into executive session for approximately, what would you say, Mr. Dupont?
Only
5
5
to
minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes. It's just an update on a piece of litigation.
Okay, thank you, Mike, then. So about 5 to 10 minutes, and we will return back to our regular meeting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for that momentary pause for our executive session. At this point, I just need a motion to go back into public.
I make a motion to go back to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, then we're going to move forward with the rest of our agenda. We have no old business to discuss today, but we do have several appointments I'll be looking to make. I'll start with the Economic Redevelopment Agency. I would like to appoint the following 3 individuals: Ms. Rosetta Fisher, Mr. Dennis Grabelny, and Mr. Donald Newton. Can I have a second for those?
Second.
Second.
Oh, no. No, somebody has to make a motion.
I make a motion
Yes,
to
thank you.
approve the mayor's appointments. Sarah?
Second.
Second.
And do we want to roll call for those, Jess? Roll
Yes.
call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
I'd also like to make the following appointments to the Safe Committee, which would be Mr. James Novak and Ms. Paulette Hudock. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve those nominations.
Second.
And roll call again, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all very much, and thank you to those volunteers that have once again stepped up to the plate to serve the community on those boards and committees. We're going to now move forward with the introduction of the following ordinances. Jess, we're going to move to ordinance 53421.
Ordinance number 534-21, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 4 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Sayreville to amend Section 4-19, employment of off-duty police officers.
So that is our Public Safety Committee. Councilman Conti, please.
Thank you very much. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on August 16th, 2021.
Second.
Councilpersons Conti,
Yes.
Selena,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Ordinance number 535-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 8, General Licensing to amend subsection 8-2.18, license fees of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
At this time, we'll turn this over to, actually, Council President Delina to make that motion. Kevin, I think you might be on mute again.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry about that. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on, sorry, give me one second. August
August
16th, 2021.
Second.
second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Ordinance number 536-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration to amend subsection 2-64, fees and licenses of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Once again, I'll call upon Council President Delina.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following ordinance be approved. Sorry, give me one sec. My phone keeps messing up with me. I'm sorry. And for the first reading on August 16, 2021.
Second.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. No other ordinances under introduction, so we will move forward with our consent agenda resolutions. If there's anyone from the public at this point that would like to comment or question anything on consent agenda resolutions only, please raise your hand by pressing *9 now. Mr. Robinson. And I'm going to call into the public meeting now. Mr. Robinson, name and address, please, for the record.
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square in Parlin. Before I get to 2021-198, I think Kevin made a mistake on ordinance 536-21. He asked for a first reading on 8/16. I think he wanted to introduce it first reading this time and have a public hearing on 8/16.
You are, I believe you're correct. Mr. Robinson, without actually going back and checking our tape. After your questions, Council President, we will go back and do the introduction again of that ordinance, just to make sure that legally we have everything, dotted and crossed.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you. And my question is on 198, the solid waste disposal agreement with MCUA. What's the cost? Is there an increase or decrease? Who negotiated it? What are the details on that?
Okay, I think I heard all of those questions. I think there were 3 there. What was the cost, who negotiated it, and what was that last one?
Was it an increase or decrease, and who negotiated?
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Frankel, I'm going to go over to you in reference to that, because I know that you were in discussions with the MCUA in reference to this. So, Mr. Frankel?
So I have to go back and check the numbers on negotiating with them, but it was a flat increase. We negotiated with them because of the host community that we are, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe it was a slight increase in years 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, thank you. And my real question, Dan, does have to do with the host community benefits. And I'm wondering if the benefits that you get are commensurate with the increases.
We are trying to get some extra benefits in reference to even our solid waste situation with our wastewater treatment plant that we're still in the middle of negotiating right now. They've been very favorable to us as being host community. There's a new, as you know, there's new management that is over at MCUA right now. So we have a very, very good working relationship with them at the moment. So I think this will continue. I think you'll see also some benefits in the future budgets that we'll be going through.
Okay, I appreciate that. And once you do look at your notes, can you send me those numbers?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim, for those questions. Anything else? Is a little bit hard to hear you on my end, so I don't know if your audio's down a little bit. Do you have anything else that you'd like to ask at this time, Jim?
Not under this section.
Okay, thank you so much.
Should we go back now to the other ordinance that Jim had brought up that I,
No,
Not-
Kevin.
Let me close out the discussions under the resolutions.
okay, sorry.
That's okay. Let's see if there's anybody else from the public that wishes to speak on consent agenda resolutions. I don't see any. Ladies, do you see any? No. All right, so at this point then, I will ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda resolutions and close the public portion. Actually, reverse that. Close the public portion first and then accept the consent agenda resolution.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion and approve the consent agenda on roll call vote.
Second.
Second.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, at this point, we are just going to go back again to the introduction of ordinance number 536-21 for the appropriate motion on that particular ordinance. So, at this point, Council President Delina will entertain a motion for the introduction of that ordinance with the public hearing for August 16th. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on August 16, 2021.
Second.
Second.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, at this point, we do have two resolutions to be read in full. Jessica, please.
Resolution number 2021-201, resolution supporting the NJDOT construction of a new ramp to replace the existing substandard ramp in the city of South Amboy from Route 9 northbound to Garden State Parkway northbound. Whereas the New Jersey Department of Transportation has proposed the replacement of the ramp connecting Route 9 northbound with the Garden State Parkway northbound located in the city of South Amboy, County of Middlesex, and whereas the NJDOT has proposed to replace the ramp connecting Route 9 northbound with the Garden State Parkway northbound while providing a sufficient detour of traffic as discussed with the proper officials, and now therefore be resolved that the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey support the plans for the replacement of the ramp connecting Route 9 northbound with the Garden State Parkway northbound.
Oh, let me open to the public first on this resolution. Any and all questions? Please press star 9 if you have any questions or comments. I do not see any, so at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to close the public portion and adopt the resolution on a roll call vote.
Second.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 2021-202, whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Sayreville require the services of a hearing officer in connection with local hearings in the Borough of Sayreville, and whereas the laws of New Jersey provide for such services, and whereas the local public contracts law, NJSA 40A:11-51A, requires that a resolution authorizing such services without competitive bids must be publicly advertised. Now therefore be it, and it is hereby resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Sayreville hereby appoint Michael Foglino to act as a hearing officer for the Borough of Saraville in connection with local hearings, and that he be paid for said services at a fee not to exceed $5,000. Be it and is hereby resolved that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized to forward a true copy of this resolution to Michael Foglino, 130 Grove Street, Elmwood Park, New Jersey, 07407.
At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I open to the public once again for any and all comments on this particular resolution. If you'd like to speak, please press star 9 now. Seeing no hands at this time, I will entertain a motion. Yet again.
I make a motion to close the public portion and adopt the resolution on roll call vote.
Second.
Second.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we're going to move over to our public portion. Unless, Mr. Dupont, you have anything else to add?
No, I do not, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Then, at this point, we'll open to the public for any and all comments. Remembering, please, that we are trying to keep to a 5-minute limit. We will let you know if you've reached beyond that, so that way everybody can hear. Everybody has an opportunity to speak. So I see a few hands up. I'll start with Ruth Ann Mahoney. Name and address, please, for the record.
Ruth Ann Mahoney, 2 Gerard Place, Harlem. I would like to thank Mr. Conti for keeping in touch with me regarding North Ernston Road. I most appreciate that, and we seem to be working well together and with traffic. So thank you so much, and it seems we're getting started to a degree, and I do appreciate that, Mr. Conti, and thank you so much, and keep in touch, please.
Well, thank you for the call. I appreciate that, Ruth. Very nice of you. And I'm happy with the progress that Sergeant Braille has reported as well. So I'm looking forward to taking steps to resolve some of those issues you have.
So am I. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You got it. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks again, Ruth Ann. I do appreciate that call as well. I see another hand raised. I'm going to go, it looks like the name is Tom Fritzen. Please state your name for the record as well as your address.
It's Thomas Fritzen, 143 Main Street, Saraville, New Jersey.
Hi, Tom. Go ahead. You can ask your question or make your comment.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if there's any way that we can look into lowering the speed limit on Main Street in between Washington and the Borough Hall, or just beyond past the Borough Hall. I started talking about this in February. I hadn't had a chance to get to the Middlesex County meetings to see if, because I know it's a county road apparently, but it's getting kind of dangerous. And now, I mean, we've seen a lot of truck traffic on Main Street through this little section, and then we're talking big 18-wheelers, and my house shakes and stuff. But we need to lower the speed limit, and you also need to maybe enforce the speed limit that we have now, because it's not being enforced, and somebody is going to get hurt, and I don't want to see that. I want to be proactive instead of reactive if something happens on the street.
Tom, I'm glad that you called in. At our last council meeting, actually, this was discussed with the council. Actually, I'm going to defer once again over to Vince Conti to give you that summary, because you are correct, that is a county road, so we had a couple of options on the table. The county did turn around and tell us that in order for them to even entertain any reduction in that speed limit, we had to turn around and actually have a traffic study completed for them to move, or they actually wanted to have a traffic study completed. I'm going to refer over either to Councilman Conti or Councilwoman Novak, because they did speak at length in reference to that. So, Tom, we are still working on it. So, Councilman Conti or Councilwoman Novak, if you wanted to respond to Tom.
Yeah, I know it was the county wanted us to do a traffic study before they would do a traffic study. And Sergeant Braille could do it for us. I think there was a, from what I recall, there was a cost to it. If we were to do it, and I think we needed to weigh our options with what we do there, unless I'm mistaken about that, Mary or Dan.
I know.
I actually think the first of that, I think that the county was going to charge us to turn around and have that traffic study done. And I believe that it was Mary perhaps that brought up the fact that she would like to entertain whether or not we could do the traffic study in-house and then submit that to the county. Mary, is my recollection correct?
Yes, they really wanted quite an exorbitant amount of money to do, have the engineer do a study. Now, I understand their reasoning that they want to know, the traffic patterns and, that there's a school on the road. There's a lot of questions they wanted answered. But in our normal changing of a speed, normal speed, our traffic safety does this study and this report. They put out tracking devices to track the amount of cars, the time of day the cars go through, the speed limits they go through. They prepare a whole study on what's in the neighborhood and everything. And I was hoping that the county would accept that as opposed to paying an engineer thousands and thousands of dollars to do the same work. But in the meantime, I said, most of the problem is not the difference in the 5 miles an hour. It's the people that are going down that street at 45 miles an hour instead of 30. And I asked that, that they start to put, police out there and start to ticket some of these people, because that seems to work. That would be the fastest remedy right now, because the rest of this could take months and months and months of thousands and thousands of dollars.
So basically what we need, Councilman Conti, is we need follow-up if we haven't heard anything yet from our traffic safety committee in order to find out where we are with that process, because I believe it was the council that, like Mary had said, we were going to look to see if the county would accept our traffic studies and our expert accounts in order to try to quicken the pace of that change. If that doesn't happen, then we'll have to go through the county's recommendation, which would be their engineers doing that study at a cost to us. So,
Mayor,
Dan,
if I may, the county will not accept our traffic study. They want it by a traffic engineer or an engineer with traffic background. They will not accept our counts from our police force. So it has to be coordinated with our engineer and a traffic consultant.
So thank you for that follow-up, Dan. That's where I thought we had left it, was for you to turn around and do that follow-up. So now that we know that, does the council wish to change their stance?
I think what we were doing, if I remember correctly, because I'm the one who brought this up last week, along with Councilwoman Novak, is we were going to see the amount of people who speed on that road. And then based off of that, we were going to decide whether or not we were going to move forward with the traffic study. To have the speed lowered from the county. And we were also going to ask the police to increase the amount of, increase the police presence that they have there currently. This way, like Mary said, that would be the quickest way to hinder people from speeding.
What was the cost, Dan? Do you remember the cost of what the county was charging us? I thought it was $6,000.
It wasn't the county charging us. We would have to pay for the report, and they would. We would go to a reputable traffic consultant and consulting with our engineer. I think that report was somewhere. It certainly was in the 5 figures, meaning $10,000 to $15,000.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if the increased patrols have already begun. Oh, sorry, Jess had muted me for a second. I don't know if those increased patrols have been put over there and we've done our own accountability. I do know that, Tom, you've called before, and I know we've had a few other individuals call before. What is the will of the council at this point? Do you guys want to continue to just wait to see what our increased patrols yield, or do we want to put onto that agenda again? Because it was initially on the agenda. It was $6,500. It was $6,500 according to our last council agenda, was what the cost was anticipated. So do you guys want to continue to hold off on that and do the increased patrols, or do we want to turn around and just move forward with the $6,500 for the engineer to?
Mayor, I think Mary's point is probably the best course of action, because she's right. You know what? If you drop the speed limit 5 miles, if you're ignoring the speed limit, you're ignoring it whether it's 5 miles lower or what it is today. And I think I just need to talk with Sergeant Brielle about it, about putting a regular patrol there more often. and just to give out more tickets. And, and hopefully, I know that's often a deterrent, all of a sudden you see ticket after ticket after ticket and you see the presence there. Maybe that will turn things around, because I am worried that we spend money, we drop it 5 miles and, and people still speed. Right? So
Okay,
that's
that's
my
fine.
thinking.
Whatever
When
the will of the council is, point.
When the traffic department does the study, not only will they, again, like I said, they can determine how many cars actually travel on the road, at what time of day, what their speed is, and they can say, okay, we have a speeding problem at certain hours of the day. So it's not like we have to have a cop there 24/7. We will be able to determine by that information that they collect when is the most effective time to put the cop out there.
Mayor, do we encounter extra costs for them to do that?
No, that's what the traffic department does.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's probably the way to go, to do that. And then,
I think that's the best
right?
course of action.
Okay.
I agree.
Let me talk with them about it and get that rolling.
Okay, so just to answer Tom's question then, so Councilman Conti, do you just want to recap so that way our resident Tom understands what the course of action is by the council?
Yeah, so I think we'll take the matter into our own hands, because I think we'll probably get better results that way. Talk with Sergeant Braille about conducting his study so that he can pinpoint the times where he needs to put the patrolman out there, and then increase the presence around that time, and just go about ticketing offenders, and pulling people over and show that presence, and hopefully that will deter people, as opposed to spending the money, to get the report and then drop the speed limit, and we wind up in the same boat. So I think that's the best course of action right now.
Tom, did you have anything else to add at that point, at this point?
I can do a study for you because I've been living here for 20 years and I know exactly what time that a police officer should be present.
Is it, Tom, is it evenings, late evenings?
I can say a lot between probably the hours of 8 and 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Like during the day, 8 p.m. to like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, especially on weekends. And during the, because I work from home, I'm the ability to work from home, and there's a lot that goes on during the afternoon too. I mean, I don't want you to put somebody here 24/7. I think that's unreasonable. But I think if you put anybody on this street for 2 to 3 hours at any given time during the day, you're going to find somebody. Or you're gonna be able to do something. But again,
all right, well,
I appreciate the effort. To me, I kind of like the course of action that you're going on. My first suggestion was to change the speed limit, but obviously, again, the second thought behind that is like, if we drop it, they're still going to speed. So
right.
So that was like the next course of action. And
all right. So
to me, it sounds
go ahead,
sounds kind of ridiculous. It sounds kind of ridiculous. All the hoops that we have to jump through. I mean, how much would it cost just to lower the speed limit? I mean, to change a sign.
And the information that we present the county can turn around and say, no, we're not going to change the speed limit. So I guess to me, this is the best course of action. And I am satisfied with the, and my only other concern is, because I actually have talked to the chief of police about a month ago, and there was something mentioned about I can't think of the name of the street, the one that's behind me, not on Main Street, because this is a trucking route too, and the big 18-wheelers roll through this part of town pretty heavily. So my other concern is with that, because sometimes and they were talking about switching this road as a trucking route to the MacArthur, I think, as more of a trucking route, because it's more, I mean, the housing there is sparse now, unfortunately, due to Sandy. And I know that's 25 miles per hour. I mean, that street is 25 miles per hour, and this is 30, which makes no sense to me, but I know this is a county road. That just makes no sense.
Because you
Yeah,
got
that
businesses
is,
here, and I've talked to a couple of business owners and a couple other people on the street, and they're like, yes, it is pretty bad. And as, business owners, I would think they would want also to.
yeah,
the
it's
speed limit a
odd,
little bit
right?
slower.
They should, that should have been reversed, or at least the same on both those
Right.
streets with the speed limit and the truck route for that matter too. But
Yep.
all right, I'll
Okay,
talk
thank
with
you.
Sergeant Braille about it and see how quickly he can get going with the increased patrol and then see if you notice anything.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you very much. Thanks, Vince, and the rest of the council for that input as well, and we'll follow up with that. Next, I see another hand raised, so we're going to go with Brian. I see your hand is up, star 9. Yes, so just unmute yourself, and you're in the public portion.
Yeah, Brian Van Dungen. I'm the Director of Recreation for the borough.
I kind of figured that.
On behalf-
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. On behalf of the Recreation Department, Mayor, and Council, I just wanted to thank you for proclaiming July as Parks Recreation Month in the borough. It is a state and national kind of recognition, so recognizing it in our community is amazing as well. And with nothing we've learned in the past 16 months throughout the pandemic, that access to parks and recreation is essential. So by having your support is going to make our community even better. The theme this year for the Parks and Recreation Month is our Parks and Recreation story. So I'm hoping that everybody comes out to our parks and programs and creates some stories and memories, for their own, for their futures and for their community. And one way to do that is on next Monday, July 26th, we have our summer play day at Borough Hall Park from 5 to 8. So I hope to see everybody there. Thank you again, Mayor, Council.
Well, Brian, let me just say thank you for just the short amount of time that you have been here. You've really hit the ground running. I want to say thank you for getting our programs, especially our parks program, up and running for the summer. I know so many of the parents and the kids are happy to have that back. Keeping up with those Moonlight movies. I know the last one, just that torrential rain and crazy weather. And you're just doing a phenomenal job, and I really appreciate all of the updates that you give to Damon for our council meetings, and just keep it up. You've been an asset already to the community and to our employee workforce here. I hope you're enjoying the first couple of months of your job with us.
I am, Mayor. So far, so good.
Excellent. Stay safe, and thank you again.
You as well. Thank you, everybody.
Take care, Brian. All right, let's take a look here, and we have Taylor. You are next in the public portion.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Taylor. Good to hear you again today.
Yes. For the record, Taylor Bernowski, 71 Pulaski Ave.
Very good. Go ahead.
Great. I just wanted to call to follow up. I just wanted to see if there was any status on putting air purifying towers into the senior center. And then I also wanted to raise attention. I had conversations with several seniors this past week who started going to the exercise classes that had resumed. And they had said that the central air in the hall, only half of it was working. And it was very humid. They were sweating. It was very stagnant air. So I just wanted to see if that was known and if anybody knew of that. But I just heard that and thought I would bring it up here.
Thanks, Taylor. I do have an update, at least a little bit, and then I'll let Mr. Frankel update in addition. So since you and I had spoken last in our last meeting, we have definitely installed additional the stand-up hand purifiers because, like you said, one is just ridiculous, was not enough. We turned around and spoke with our janitorial staff and made certain that they started to do the increased cleaning over there, as well as definitely those the soap dispensers in those bathrooms, which were deplorable. I thank you for those images. We're also currently looking to increase the amount of individuals that we have within our custodial staff, at least bringing in one part-timer to help man and clean that particular building, at least at night. It's something we've been trying to do, but when we have those meetings that are later in the evening, after our regular custodial staff has gone home, we need additional individuals to do that. So I know, Dan, that's something that you have been discussing with our senior center director over there as well. Mr. Frankel, can you address some of the other issues? Because I know I've been calling you and I've been in constant contact with you about getting our senior center clean and up to par.
Right, we do know about we had a little bit of a problem with the air conditioner handling unit in the hallway. That has been reported. That should have been, if it wasn't fixed by Friday, it should be fixed. I'll get an answer, but either today or tomorrow. But that should have been fixed. We knew about that. In reference to, I forgot the last question you just for air purifiers. So we're looking to possibly we can't put purifiers throughout the entire building. We're looking to where the usage is the most, which would probably be the Great Hall, would be with Stark. And we're looking at the ability that if we have CARES money that is left over, which we're looking at and have looked at and can put in for more, we would probably put in to buy more purifiers. Those would be the stand-up purifiers that are on the floor. But that would only be for the most used part of the building.
Great, that is great to hear.
Taylor,
Thank you.
I want to say again, thank you for calling in and for, really advocating on behalf of our seniors. So we are definitely taking all of those comments and stuff and making them work so that our seniors can be safe. So thank you once again, Taylor.
Thank you. I appreciate all the help.
Okay. I do see another hand raised again. Jim, you're back in the public session. Name and address one more time.
Mayor Jim Robinson, 11 Burrell Square. I wasn't trying to be fastidious on 53721, but you know how the rollback of those fees on businesses is important, so I wanted to my question has to do with Amazon Fresh and Gateway, because a number of neighbors have asked me about this. You know, that's in Old Bridge. But when they went before the planning board, they were required to notify our clerk. We have to notify an adjacent municipality under, I think it's 4055D- probably 12, this notification, so that we can comment on aspects of the project that may impact our community. Anybody who goes into Gateway knows what a nightmare that entrance is and exit over there. And I think if we check, their police department would tell us that there have been a number of motor vehicle accidents over there. I witnessed a few myself, and I don't go there often. I try and avoid that. But this is something that Saraville should have commented on. I don't know if we did. I don't know if we received a notice, if we responded to it, if we did, or if we shared with Old Bridge our concerns about the additional traffic that will be created there when that Amazon Fresh is opened. And can anybody speak to that? I raised this issue about things in adjacent municipalities. You may recall when they cited that truck stop adjacent to our well fields, and there are trucks there that are containing fluids and things like that. So that is a concern, and one municipality does have the right to comment on what another municipality is doing. So do we know, did we get notice? Did we comment? Do we have any concern? Do either our planner or our traffic safety or anybody communicate with Old Bridge about the additional traffic there and what might be necessary to mitigate the situation, make sure there aren't even more accidents that there currently are?
Jim, that's a great question. Mr. Frankel and I discussed it very, very briefly. Dan, I don't know if we were able to, I don't personally recall receiving a notice of the time of that meeting that they were having in Old Bridge in reference to it. I do have a call that I'm actually a phone number and a call to one of the elected officials over in Old Bridge to actually discuss two different issues, one being this and another one. Mr. Frankel, do you have anything else to shed light on that? Because I do, obviously, that is accurate. They should have notified us as a neighboring community.
I think the question is, and I'm not quite sure, I think if you're next to or speak with Jessica. Jessica, were we ever noticed about that application?
I think we were noticed about a grocery store going in there. I'd have to look in the file. I don't think it was per se for Amazon Fresh. It just had about them amending their redevelopment plan. I want to say, I'd have to look in the file in the office.
They,
Jim, it's not something that's escaped my notice, and I've been having a couple of conversations about with few mayors from neighboring communities as well about a couple of other redevelopment projects in other towns as well regarding specifically the impact that they would have with truck traffic and everything else. It is on my radar. Like I said, it was on Dan's radar as well when we started to see when it went out publicly about what that store was going to be. So it's definitely conversations and stuff that we're still having. Like I said, I have a call going in tomorrow to one of the council people over in Old Bridge as well, and that is one of my topics to discuss with them. And I believe another mayor as well has already reached out.
okay, thank you, Mayor. All too well, I've seen these things on the agenda, not this one. And by the way, he never said it was Amazon Fresh. I talked to the planning folks.
Right.
They didn't even know when they approved it. I can't believe it.
You're exactly right, Jim. You're exactly right on that, and that's why my radar went up, and I called Dan about it because it was not identified as an Amazon Fresh.
No, I can't believe a planning board would do that. But I've seen a lot of things the Old Bridge Planning Board has done that I can't believe. But anyway, I've seen these things on the agenda, not this one in particular, and all too often they get received and filed. But some of these really have to be looked at because this impacts Sayreville every bit as much as it will impact Old Bridge. And going forward, I think we have to refer these at least to either to the engineer or traffic safety or on the traffic aspect. I mean, there are environmental aspects of things that, other projects that probably ought to be referred to other folks. So that's my only comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Jim. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'll be noisy and quite a few other people as well.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to comment on anything in reference on the agenda or off? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
I make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you very much. Entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that closes out our first meeting. At this point, we're going to move forward with our next agenda meeting with, once again, a salute to our flag. So please rise. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you once again. And Nicole, statement of publication, please.
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 19th day of July, 2021 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti,
Here.
Delina,
Here.
Enriquez,
Here.
Mar,
Here.
Novak,
Here.
Roberts,
Here.
and our professional is the business administrator,
Present.
CFO,
Here.
engineer,
Here.
and attorney.
Here.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicole. We're going to move forward now. No comments or questions, I'm assuming, under our ordinances for introduction. So at this point, we're going to move forward with our communications and committee reports, beginning with Administration and Finance. Councilwoman Roberts, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have minutes and departmental reports, the municipal clerk's monthly report for June, and the CFO's investment activity report for June to receive and file.
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I have applications for the bingo raffle for St. Stan's Kostka Rosary Altar Society for September 5th for approval.
Second.
Okay. And just in other information, I do want to congratulate all the new appointees and thank you, Mayor.
You're very welcome, Donna. And I'm looking, I'm very proud of all of those volunteers that continue to stand up and serve on these boards and committees. So, my honor.
Yes, it is great that we have people to step up into those positions. So very grateful. I also want to let everyone know that our CFO is going to have some important information about the funds that we received. I think it's now called the American, it was the CARES Act, but the American, right. So she's
Yes,
going
no
to have some
problem.
information about what we've received and how we might be able to use it. And she's got some information about our bonds and grants that she's going to share with us during her portion. So a lot of very valuable information is going to come through. And I know that we put in the ordinances 535-21, 536-21 for a public hearing. And I do want to hear that public hearing because I have been going out and talking to a number of businesses and collecting information. And most of the businesses understand that there is a cost to doing business. So I was it was really nice to hear that they want to participate in Sayreville. They want Sayreville to be a strong environment. I also found out that the funding that we have, that license fee, should be self-paying. So it should pay for the cost of the service. And at this point, it is not. It hasn't been changed for a long time. And if we don't ask the businesses to take on that burden, the only other place it can come from is from our residents. So I think that's misplaced. And that's some of the feedback that I've been getting. And it would be good to have it self-funding. For the next couple of weeks until we have the final vote, I'm going to continue to go out to find out from other businesses if they truly are in need of this change. From what I've been hearing so far, it has not been the case, but I want to stay open-minded, and I hope that the rest of the council will also balance some of those decisions, some of those topics when they make their final decision. And I think that's all the comments that I have for today. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Donna. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that feedback that you've received also from our businesses as well. If there's nothing else, then we'll move forward with planning and zoning. Councilwoman Marr, please.
Good evening, Mayor. I move the following minutes reports be received and filed. Instruction officials report for the month of June 2021, fire prevention report for the month of June 2021, and zoning and code enforcement report for the month of June 2021.
Was there a second?
Oh, second.
There you go. Thanks, Damon. I thought I was
Chairman.
missing.
Also, notice to adjacent community property owner, notice of public hearing held before the Township of East Brunswick Council on June 28th, 2021 regarding ordinances 21-16, 21-17, 21-18.
Second.
Thank you.
Other than that, I would just like to thank Soup Kitchen 411, our senior center, NJ Feeds, Jen and Jeannie over at the senior center, our police auxiliary, for making this food distribution program that we've had on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's been a great success. We've had so many volunteers, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and it's just so nice to see the community get involved. And most importantly, it helps our restaurants who are suffering. We've had Romeo's, we've had Casa Verde, we've had Garden State Deli, and we've had Soul Kitchen, John Bon Jovi's, our own Soul Kitchen from Red Bank. So Assemblywoman Lopez really let us know about this program, and she's going to be joining us on Thursday. And I just wanted to reiterate how grateful I am for everybody's participation in this.
Thank you very much for that, Councilwoman Marr, and I agree it's been phenomenal, the support from our businesses and being able to help those in need. We're going to move on now to public safety.
One more
with
thing. One more
Oh,
thing.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Marr, go ahead.
That's okay. Thrilled to announce that we received a $10,000 non-matching grant for Sustainable Jersey to assist with our community garden. I've been dying to share, but we didn't have the reveal until last week. And again, I'm thrilled that our town gets to reap some of the benefits from the grant writers that we've hired. Otherwise, we would have no idea about these non-matching grants. That's it. Progress.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm very excited also to hear about that as well. Was very excited to be part of the call where we were able to receive that grant. Good work. That is definitely going to be a benefit to the community. Very well done. Public safety, Councilman Conti, please.
All right, I'll be brief today. So I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. Municipal Court report for the month of June 21. Board of Health Registrar and County reports for the month of June 21, and Police Department report for the month of June 21.
Second.
All right, thank you. No committee reports today, and that's all I have for you tonight. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Councilman Conti. We're going to move to recreation with Councilman Enriquez, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes reports be received and filed. Recreation Department report for the month of June 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, I have a notice of retirement received from Ann McKeel from her position in the Office of Aging, effective September 1st, 2021. Want to wish Ann well on that one.
Second.
Is there a very good, thank you.
And for committee reports, all I have was what Brian already talked about, our summer play day on July 26th between 5 and 8. It will be held behind Borough Hall by the volleyball courts. Everybody come out and enjoy the festivities. And progress, Mayor.
Very good. That was nice that Brian came on to visit because he took care of your work over there for committee reports.
Yes, he did.
We're going to go over to water and sewer environmental, please. Councilwoman Novak.
Yes, I move that the minutes and departmental reports as listed on the agenda A, 1 and 2 be received and filed.
Second.
Second.
And progress, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Novak. We're going to move to Public Works. Council President Delina, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes and departmental reports. A1 be received and filed.
Second.
Second.
And for B1 and 2, either approve or deny. Those one is a block party. I'm sorry, it's the residents of Ridge Avenue, Milliken Road on August 14, 2021 from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. block party. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
All papers in, Jeff? Wonderful. So, any
And
objections?
same with number 2.
Okay.
Have all permits and stuff been in for number 2? B2, I'm sorry. Then, is everyone okay with it? Okay, good. All right, and then C, I would like to approve or deny C as shown on the agenda. It's a request received from the Centennial Committee to hang banners on poles at Washington Road and Bissett Street and Cheesequake Road and Hercules entrance from the 23rd of August until the end of the event.
Any objection to that?
I don't have any, do all the paperwork filled out with that? Because that is a bunch of paper to hang banners.
Yeah.
Yes, Mary, I took care of that for the committee.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect. Other than that, progress.
Well, and thank you very much, Council President Delina. Let me just say with that, thank you to all of those individuals that are serving on our Centennial Committee for all of the hard work, the effort, the ideas, the planning. It is really, this is going to be, I just can't wait for the celebration. It's going to be a huge celebration. It's going to be epic. Thank you, Nicole. I think that's a great word. It's really just a really great way for us to move forward from the year that we have had. So thank you to all the ladies and the gentlemen that are helping to make that happen. That takes care of my comments for today. We're going to move right into the Business Administrator, Mr. Frankel.
Thank you, Mayor. Authorization to execute an agreement with Kaplan addressing their compliance with their obligation to provide affordable housing as a component of Kaplan's inclusionary developments.
I'm gonna let you roll right through that. If anybody
Okay.
has any questions, we can just interrupt so you don't have to hear me.
That's fine. Thank you. Authorization to send resolution to Old Bridge Township regarding their redevelopment project that will add excessive traffic to Bordentown Avenue. Mayor, this is one of the things that you were talking about earlier. This is a project that is, we received that you're being proactive on to concern that this project in Old Bridge Township will affect traffic on Bordentown Avenue. So this is a resolution going to Old Bridge. Authorization to appoint three police officers in the police department effective August 2nd, 2021. Authorization to renew a shared services agreement with Woodbridge Township for the 2021 opioid overdose recovery program. Request received from handicap parking sign received from Elsa Godoy or Godoy. Need to forward that to the Traffic Bureau. Authorization to renew the contract with I'm sorry?
I just wanted to ask, what's the street for that handicap park? Do you know that offhand?
I do not
Give me
know
one
that.
second.
It's over on Rizzo. Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Authorization to renew the contract with MCIA for yard waste recycling and marketing for a 3-year term. Authorization to purchase automated refuse cans through the HGAC Buy Cooperative Purchasing Program, contract RCO1-21 from Schaefer Systems International, Inc., in amount not to exceed $90,000. Authorization to amend the ordinance for the removal of trees within residential developments. Authorization to award a contract to Starfire Corporation for the Centennial Celebration Fireworks Display.
What exactly it says we're going to amend the ordinance? How are we going to amend that ordinance to remove the trees?
Again, I'll let Mr. Dupont, you want to discuss it? Or?
There was a question about the ability for us to mandate residents to remove trees in the right of way. And the ordinance is not specific enough to require that. So out of abundance of caution, we are going to amend it to specifically refer to that language.
Okay, you want to require the residents to remove shade trees?
If in fact the Shade Tree Commission is recommending that it provides teeth to this ordinance, because they do have certain requirements anyways, and one of the options is to require removal, and the current option, we'll strike that. One option is, hey, trim and maintain, but there is no language with respect to removal. So the Shade Tree Commission wants to have that specific language within the ordinance.
They want it in the ordinance that the residents are responsible for their trees.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
More so responsible, but there's nothing in the ordinance that states responsible means remove the tree. We're tightening up the word remove. If the tree is diseased or dead, there's nothing in the ordinance, in the shade tree ordinance, that says that the citizen must remove the tree.
No, it's always been the shade tree to remove the tree. It's always been that. I said it's always been shade tree. If the resident says, I think this tree is dead, shade tree comes out and says, yeah, you're right. And then there's a contract that shade tree pays for to remove the tree. It's never been the resident's requirement to remove to pay for the removal of the tree. It's in the borough right away, and the trees are planted by shade tree. It's always been their responsibility, to pay for such a thing. And now we're going to put it in there that the residents are now responsible for that?
Can we look into that? Because I do recall just a handful of years ago that we had a resident that had to remove a tree. It was dead, it was unsafe, it was causing root issues and all kinds of things. And they were responsible for that tree and that removal. They actually petitioned us as a council to turn around and be reimbursed for that money. And I don't believe that we ever did that. So can we just get a little, go ahead, Mike.
I can look into that, Mayor. This was brought up by the Shade Tree Commission at their recommendation. So I will circle back with Mr. Rittenhouse and ask him, what the past was with Mr. Frankel, and then we'll circle back with the mayor and council.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. So that way we can just make our decisions in a lot more clarity.
So that one will be put on for next agenda meeting.
Yeah, we'll get more information.
Okay.
On that.
Authorization, I did the one with the fireworks display, so I'll move to water and sewer. Authorization to award the following contract for water department chemicals. Sulfuric acid to Coin Chemical, $10,737. Sodium bisulfate to Univar Solutions USA for $4,080. Sodium hydroxide to Univar Solutions USA for $13,505. Ferric chloride to PVS Technologies Inc. for $335,000. Hydrated lime to Carmouche Lime for $186,360. Also authorization to purchase water meters and accessories and various pipes and supplies from Core and Main LLP to the ESCNJ Cooperative Contract number 19/20-27 in an amount not to exceed $200,000. So Mayor, I would just ask for all those that needed authorization and approval that you would accept those on my agenda.
So ladies and gentlemen, any objection to that, so that way Dan can move forward? All right, I do not hear anybody. Do we need anything formal other than that at that point? No? So you have consent, Mr. Frankel.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for that report. We're going to move on to our CFO's report. Ms. Biancamano, please.
I get the good stuff. Authorization to amend the 2021 local municipal budget for 2021 municipal recycling enhancement grant in the amount of $4,090. 2021 Sustainable Jersey Grant for the amount of $10,000, 2021 ANJAX Open Space Stewardship Grant for $1,500, and 2021 Distracted Driving Crackdown, You Drive, You Text, You Pay for $9,000, and also authorization to sell bonds. I will probably be selling them sometime in maybe around September, so I haven't gone out for permanent financing since 2018. I do have 2 bond ordinances that will be coming due and be paid off by the end of this year. So I tried to keep it stable so I don't have a roller coaster ride. So I'm going to go out for permanent, probably the fall of this year for some additional money. As Councilwoman Roberts stated, we did receive $2,973,000 $950.50 in the coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds, which came in on July 15th. I'm happy to report. It was a lot of work and everything, but it got done, and we've got half of our money up front, which is wonderful. After speaking with our auditor, he's kind of told me to kind of take baby steps with it because they still don't know exactly what the funding is going to be used for. Okay, so there is going to be additional information coming in the future regarding the permitted use of the grant funds. So I just want to let everybody know that. I did send out an email to all of you, but I just wanted to reiterate that. Also, the Finance Committee met on July 7th to discuss capital bond ordinance items. The decision was to bond as follows. Vehicles and equipment, $1,836,000. Various improvements, $3,270,000. Road improvement program for $4,170,000. And then there was also water utility vehicles and equipment for $762,000. I just want to also note that the total bond amount for the 3 general capital ordinances is about $8.5 million. And to just remind the mayor and council that you have already adopted 2 previous bond ordinances, one for tax maps in the amount of $190,000, and the bond ordinance to authorize the making of a grant for the development and construction of affordable housing redevelopment in the amount of $2,465,000. So just to let you know, the total amount of the bond ordinances for 2021 is just a little over $11 million. And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Denise. I appreciate it. And my favorite is still number one, because and obviously the 2.9 plus that we did get ahead of time. And I know the amount of work that had to go into that. So thank you so much for handling these unprecedented patterns, cycles, papers, and everything. It is no easy feat, and I truly appreciate that.
You're very welcome, Madam Mayor. Mayor,
All right, we're going to...
may I ask, when I ask Donna, the head of finance, if, you know, since we have a month between now and first reading on those ordinances, if we have one more meeting on them to review them just a little bit more closely?
I don't think that's unreasonable. I think, Denise, we will be getting more guidance on how we can use that funding, and we may be able to discuss some of those options at that time.
As long as we have this, I'd like to meet one more time before all of those are introduced.
Yeah, and would we also,
Timing for
if-
that.
so I had a question. If we needed to make a minor tweak, are we able to make that minor tweak if we have a meeting to discuss? Yeah. Okay.
Denise, I'm going to defer over to you in reference to this a little bit. I do know that we are still awaiting what those guidelines are going to be in reference to the spending of that money that was received through that Rescue Act. I have to be honest with you, I don't have much faith in knowing that we'll have those guidelines by then. Is there implications and issues in reference to the, delaying that or pushing that out an additional month, because we're going to have to, we've already bonded for this. If in fact that money we find out can be utilized, would we then be able to apply that to what we had already bonded for?
Yes, what would happen, right, what would happen, Madam Mayor, is that if we do go and prepare bond ordinances for items that can be funded under this grant, so to speak, then what would happen is we would just not spend it through the bonding process. So in other words, we would reduce the bond by that amount of money, or we could always reappropriate the funds to different projects if need be.
So in your expert capacity, is it wise to do a delay on that and until the following month, like Mary's suggesting, or are we okay to move forward with things the way that they are, knowing that we can always make those changes and appropriations later as we find out more? I just don't have faith that we're truly going to get those guidelines. Denise, you've been working on this for a long time.
Right.
We've been waiting for guidelines since the day that they told us that we were going to be receiving money. It started off where there weren't going to be any strings attached to this money, to now there was going to be all of these other, things that we can and cannot use it for. What would your recommendation be?
Well, I think what Councilwoman Novak's concern and everything is, and Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you want to revisit what we've kind of proposed for the ordinances and maybe tweak it that way. As you can ask Dan. Dan's been getting information also, and it's conflicting to what I'm thinking and what he's hearing. So we're not totally sure exactly what we're going to be able to use the funds for right now. Yeah, I really, there's just some things in here I think we need to discuss just a little bit more before, and we do have, since we don't have a meeting for a whole month.
Full month.
We do
yes,
have
we have a full month, so that we have a little time flexibility to schedule that, Mary.
Right. Yes, that's
Yes,
what I would say.
I think that there is, Denise, please tell me, when do we expect that next letter coming out? The
auditor told me, he said he really didn't even give me a time frame. I'm hoping within the month, but as other munis, what they're doing and everything is they're actually setting whatever money they've received, setting it aside in a special account and everything, which is what I'm going to set up just for that. And they're just kind of sitting back and taking baby steps and not doing anything, because the fear is, what if you go and spend this money on something that is not applicable to this grant, and they slap our hand and say, hey, by the way, you can't spend it on that, and then we're really in a pickle. Yeah.
Okay. But I think later this month, Mary, I'll schedule a meeting for the committee so that we can talk about this more in detail because we do have a month. So if we give it a week and see if we get any more direction, I think I'd feel more comfortable than having to have 2 or 3 meetings before our next council.
I was going to suggest, 2 weeks from now, because there was a few other things that I noticed in the bonding ordinances that I wanted to talk about too. It wasn't just about that extra money. And since I really thought that these ordinances were going to be introduced tonight, but since we have this whole month, we have plenty of time. Maybe in 2 weeks we meet. That'll be 2 weeks from now and 2 weeks before the next meeting. So Denise will have plenty of time to make any adjustments. So the time to make the adjustments is before we introduce, if we can. Once we introduce, then, we have to start all over again and introduce
So,
all
yeah,
over again.
we have that luxury of time because it's summertime. So we'll set something up for the committee in a couple of weeks. We'll check schedules and make sure we can have everyone on the committee available.
All righty then, sounds good. Unless the council has any issues or concerns. So that sounds good, ladies. We're okay?
Yes, I am
Yes,
good. Thank you, Mayor.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else then at this point? Very good. We're going to move on to our Borough Engineers report. Jay Cornell, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 items this evening. First is the contract for the remediation of the soil at the former First Aid Squad. That project's been completed, recommending the contract be closed out and a net reduction change order approximately $18,000 be adopted. We need a resolution for that at your next meeting. Second item is the improvements to Sophie Street, Midnight Street, and Vernon Street. We're receiving bids prior to your next meeting, so we'd ask if everything's in order that we have a resolution awarding that contract at your next meeting. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Jay, and I appreciate the net reduction as always. Borough Attorney, do you have anything else to add, Mike?
Mayor, I do not have anything to add, and I do not need any executive session either.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We'll move over then to the public portion. For anybody that is on the line that has a question, I do see a hand raised. Let me see who that is. Jim, you're back in the public. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. One question before I ask, for Denise, before I ask my real question. That 2.9 from the American Rescue that you talked about, that's in addition to the 1,000,010 from CARES, right?
That is correct, Jim. We right now are supposed to be receiving from the, hold on, I have my paper, almost 6 million. So what they do is they provide you with half of it up front. And on, I believe, which I'm still negotiating through the notices and the informational, I believe what you do then is you send them paperwork and reports and all, and they reimburse you, as you incur the costs for the rest of it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. No problem.
Mayor, Mr. Frankel talked about the resolution, quite coincidental, the resolution to overage regarding the redevelopment project and excessive traffic on Bordentown Avenue. What redevelopment project is that?
That's the redevelopment project that's on Jake Brown Road. That's being proposed. So myself, along with a couple of other mayors, are looking into that, looking at impact on that. Dan, do you want to add anything else with that?
What kind of project is that, and how big is that?
It's a warehouse development.
Do you know how big it is?
That one, Jim, you can go on to Overage Township's website and you can actually see it is a warehouse site, and I just don't remember what the square footage was on that off the top of my head.
I'll take a look.
Correction, 700 acres, thanks to my clerk.
I appreciate that, we have a concern about traffic on Bordentown Avenue, and I wish you well with this resolution, but Wednesday night, our planning board is hearing an application for over 1 million square feet of warehouses on Cheesequake Road, and all of that traffic is going to empty out onto Bordentown Avenue. And that, my understanding is that's, I think it's 3 buildings, about 165 loading docks, 275 trailers, and 1,000 car parking parking spaces for 1,000 cars. So, and my understanding, what I've been told, is all of that traffic will go to Cheesequake and then onto Bordentown. So, I have a concern about Old Bridge's traffic on Bordentown Avenue, but I also have a concern about traffic Sayreville might be creating onto Bordentown Avenue. That's going to be primarily truck traffic.
You know me, Jim, I have my eye on that one as well. And that one's in-house, so it's a little bit easier for me to get information, follow that, and be up to date on what's happening here. So trust me, I'm hopeful that our council as well is also paying attention to that as well.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Novak, I believe, is on our planning board, so she's keeping an eye on that and hopefully looking over all of that.
Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
I think one of the things that we, obviously we like to control our own destiny, where Old Bridge is not allowing us to control our own destiny. So if people want to comment on the plan of the Cheesequake development, that's within the roads of Sayreville. What we're upset about is Old Bridge is looking to dump traffic into the roads that are not just Old Bridge's roads, but are also would affect Sayreville. So we do have a right to comment. You're right, on our own, but that's what we're, let Old Bridge make other accommodations to make their development to go on other highways, such as Route 9, such as Old 516, such as roads like that. We will control our destiny through our planning board in our developments. And if our residents would like to comment on those developments that we're having, they're more than happy to comment. It's just that, as we discussed previously, we don't have much of a say on what another municipality does. We have to keep an eye on them. But in development that we have internally in our own development, in our own town, we can do that. But in Old Bridge, we can't.
Yeah, well, that is a very valid point, that we do have control over what goes on in our own town. And so, because of that, I do have a concern about this. I said million square feet. I think it's almost 1,100,000 square feet of warehousing, with 165 loading docks and 1,000 cars, or parking for 1,000 cars. So I do have a concern about that. And, when these trucks, either our trucks or the trucks from Old Bridge, get out to Bordentown Avenue, it doesn't really matter if they're coming from Old Bridge or Sayreville. All that traffic is going to make a mess of all of those roads, and some of them are probably going to go to Ernston Road. Some may find their way onto Washington Road, regardless of what the starting point is. And that's only trucks going out. I have no idea how trucks are going to come in to these various projects on Jake Brown Road or Cheesequake Road. So that's a concern.
Well, that's why you attend the planning board meetings then, to go over that. But for us it's hard for us. That's why we're making a resolution and a motion about Old Bridge. Truck traffic is truck traffic. The planners will give their traffic studies. A lot of truck traffic also happens, not 24, when it's not 24 hours, but we, as our applications, we can, you as residents can come out and discuss that in our town. But in Old Bridge, we're going to make a statement to them.
Yeah, well, thank you for mentioning that planning board meeting. Is that planning board meeting virtual, or is it in the Borough Hall? Who knows the answer?
I believe it's virtual. You're talking about our planning board meeting, Jim? Our planning board meeting, I believe is.
Mayor, it's in person.
Oh no, it's in room 310. I apologize. It's listed on our
okay, well,
on our meetings and on my weekly memo as a planning board committee meeting, room 310. Jim.
I checked this morning on the planning board website, and I printed off the agenda early this morning, and it said telecommunication via Zoom. Several planning board Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. Note, testimony will conclude at 11 p.m. Remaining business will be conducted at subsequent meetings. Telecommunications via Zoom, time 7:30. Now, I saw,
Jim, we're gonna just clarify that, and it's because I'm in person here with the clerks, and we have it on our weekly memo based on the communications that we had with the clerk back and forth. So we have it listed as in person on 3:10, but I don't want to give out incorrect information, and if that, I want to, Councilman Marr, do you happen to know, can you clarify in person or not?
Yes, I
Or
received an
Jay,
email.
actually Jay?
Yes, Mayor, it is in person.
It is in person. Thanks, Jay. Sorry, Councilwoman Marr, I didn't know if you were still on. So it is in person then in room 310.
I have a concern then, because as late as this morning, the agenda said it was going to be via Zoom. And now that I hear it's in 310, 310 is the small room with the wooden railing, right?
No, that's
Hold on now.
308
So,
is that.
So I believe that in the event, now, one of the great things is that we do have the ability and the flexibility to turn around and move that meeting from 310, if needed, into council chambers based on the number of participants. And that can be done for a couple of reasons, because obviously we still want to try and promote social distancing and just keep people safe. So, Jim, regardless of whether it's 310 or council chambers, we'll be able to accommodate based on the number of participants and residents that wish to comment. In reference to making sure that our postings are correct, I have the ladies right now are just going on to verify to make certain that it is out there in our social media outlets and on our different sites, that it is advertising as in person, and we'll turn around and make sure that we communicate that if it's not accurate in as many forums as possible. I thank you, Jim, for bringing that to our attention, but I do have it listed here on my memo as being in person, and obviously both Jay and Michelle confirmed that.
I listed it as virtual. Now, it was changed. It was changed today, but this morning when I checked, it said, and I'm reading from it, telecommunication via Zoom. So that's certainly misleading, and on something as important as this.
Hold on, we just pulled up their agenda, which is, where's that listed, guys?
Under the meeting section, right?
Under the meeting section for the planning board, and it actually, let's see.
Virtual.
It doesn't say virtual. Remaining business will be conducted.
Council chambers.
It says, it actually says council chambers.
Okay, I understand that.
So
That
they must have made that change recently.
today, because this morning it said telecommunication via Zoom.
I'm sorry, Michelle, did you mention that you received an email as a planning board member just recently?
Days ago.
A couple of days ago, okay. So, and then they probably just put it out there with their agenda session. So let's get this clarified and put out there appropriately.
Yeah.
So that
To be
way our
fair-
residents know.
Because I
To be
thought-
fair, Mayor, it is the first meeting back in person.
Okay, well,
It is the first meeting back in person.
and so maybe they cut and pasted the agenda, but I talked to folks this weekend who were planning on attending that meeting via Zoom. And that's why this morning I went on to the website under meetings and looked at the agenda, and it said telecommunications via Zoom. And I printed it off. I have it here in front of me. And then this afternoon I looked and it said it was in person, or it said it was at the Borough Hall. So, you know, that on a meeting as important as this, it's the first one back and it's a pretty important subject. I'd say the notice is defective. And it's not the applicant's fault. Unfortunately, it's the borough's fault or the planning board's fault.
So Mike Dupont, can you just take a look at that, confer with our planning board just to make sure that the notifications and everything were put out appropriately? I
Yeah.
would not want to have any type of issue with that.
I'll send you the one that I printed off this morning.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Dante Alfieri and inquire about that tomorrow.
Okay. Because
Thank you very much, and if action needs to be taken in reference to that meeting in order to make certain that it's appropriately noticed and everything, let's make sure that we do that. And then also communicate back to Dan to let him know, so that way we can make certain that the public is aware that this is in fact an in-person
Yeah,
meeting.
you
I
may-
actually think that's a positive thing, because for individuals that don't have the technological capability, you're right, Jim, this is a very important matter. So I'm happy that this affords individuals to come in person that may or may not have that technological capability. I'm a big fan of hybrid meetings, but I don't think we have the technological capabilities to do both right now.
Okay.
But let's get a handle on this, please.
Yeah, Jim, if you could email to Mr. Frankel the notice that you printed off, so that I can follow up with Dante tomorrow, that would be great. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Anything else?
Nothing from me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Tom, I see your hand is up again, so you're back into the public portion. Once again, just state your name and address for me.
Thomas Fritzen, 143 Main Street. I have one thing I got to talk about, the trees that we had just mentioned earlier in this meeting. But before we do that, I was looking also at what you were just discussing about the meeting. There is a link for online info for the zoning board meeting on the meetings page. So I think that might where the big confusion is. It doesn't say it's in, it says council chambers, but then it says online info. So it looks like you're doing both. So it looks like you're doing,
Is that zoning, or is that?
I'm sorry, planning board. I'm sorry,
My
then
clerk
that's my
will
mistake.
clarify a little bit. Hold on a minute, Tom. My clerk just wants to clarify in reference to
On
that.
that online info, I believe that's backup for the application.
Okay. But to me, it looks like it's in council chambers and then it says online info. So it
Yeah,
looks
that's
like,
about the information about the
The agenda and
the project that they're gonna information on that. It tells you to download.
all right,
File. Yeah.
sorry. Then that's
No,
fine.
that's okay.
It could look confusing for somebody coming in saying, where's the meeting? And everything is now virtual and or, online or in person. So it might look a little confusing. So get to what I was talking about. I live on Main Street. And I think on Main Street, we're in a unique situation as far as homeowners here on Main Street are, because the trees that are on Main Street were planted by the town. And I know I've had a couple of battles with not battles, I wouldn't say battles, but I've had a couple of conversations with the Shade Tree Commission, because I have a tree right now. It's in my front of my house. The branches have now grown to the point where they're touching my house. And I was asked, what I should do in that situation, because I was told that anything on my side or towards my house is my responsibility. So if I have to do anything like trim it or any of that kind of stuff, I have to pay for it. Anything on the other side or the street side, if something goes on there or the township has to trim something, they take care of that, which I think is very unfair, because I think Main Street might be the only place in town that has these trees that are planted not by us. I mean, I moved into this house 22 years ago and the tree was there when I got here. So it's, something that, and I guess the burden becomes on me. If something happens to it, I have to take it down. And it kind of was disconcerting when they said they wanted to put language in to say that the resident would be responsible for taking the tree down if it got sick or something happened to it. I've actually reached out to the Shade Tree Commission because I want them to come look at my tree, because it's the only crooked one on the street and it's leaning in towards my house. So I just want to, if we can keep an eye on that situation, because if I have to be responsible for paying for that tree, and I've talked to my neighbors about it on both sides of me and across the street, and they're really not happy because the trees are causing damage to sidewalks because they're ripping up the sidewalks. And I'm concerned that somebody's going to trip and fall. And then am I responsible if somebody gets hurt walking down Main Street and trips in front of my house? because of what the tree has done to the sidewalk. I've kind of voiced these opinions to the Shade Tree Commission. I talked to Mr. Rittenhouse a couple of times, and I'm just wondering if the township or the council can look into how we can handle this stuff. I also noticed when I first moved into this town, which is probably 20 some odd years ago, the trees were there. There was also, I think, 3 or 4 trees lining right in front of Town Hall. And now I know that they're all gone. And I think the reason was it was lifting sidewalks and stuff like that. So I just want to keep an eye. I don't think a small subset of the township should bear the burden for, I mean, yes, the trees look nice and all that stuff, but it sounds like you want the residents to take the burden on taking care of these trees, which makes Main Street look nice. And I don't know if that's fair, but that's just my opinion.
Well, Tom, that's one of the reasons why I asked our attorney to just take a look at that regarding the language that's in there. And we're also going to have to do a little history and take a look at that past practice and what's been done previously with residents. So that's why I think it was important to pull back for a few moments and just let us get the information and the history and the way things have been done in order to keep it, you know, as fair as can be. But also remember that it's quite possible, and I believe, based on the time that I've been here, that we have in fact charged multiple residents for exactly what you were discussing. So I think we need to just evaluate it and take a look before we make any changes. So that's the reasons we're doing.
Yeah, because I have, like I said, I've had a couple experiences. Like my next door neighbors, their house has a tree in front of it. About 2 or 3 years ago, a truck pulled in, I guess, delivering something to Cerebral Seafood, and clipped one of the branches. And I mean, completely ripped a huge branch off of the tree, and it landed on my next door neighbor's car and just shattered their windshield. And when everything was done and the tree branch was still sitting in the driveway, and we had to pull it out of the car, they had to pull it out of the car, the police called the maintenance department for Sayreville, I guess, and to come out and like chop up the tree. We were told, they came out and they did it, and I respect them for that. But when they came out, they told us, this is not our responsibility. This is the homeowner's responsibility. They have to take care of it, but we'll do it since we're here. And I thought that was just incredibly wrong. So that's why I'm kind of concerned about this whole, you know, if they come up and thank you. And I appreciate you looking into it a little bit more in depth, and I'll probably be on the next meeting to find out what you guys come up with.
No problem, Tom. No, I appreciate your insight, and we'll turn around and we'll see what we find out, and then the council will make their decision based on what we have. But thank you for calling in again, Tom. I appreciate it. I do remember the last time you called in a while back, so glad that you're still here. Glad that you're still calling in, voicing, you know, your concerns. I appreciate it.
Well, now I have to go to the.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Planning board.
No, well, I have to go to the school board education meeting tomorrow night, and then I'll be at probably the zoning board meeting. So, you know, a planning board meeting.
Oh my gosh, you're definitely
I'm diversifying.
You are. Well, we look forward to seeing you again. I appreciate it very much, and good luck with those other meetings. Have a good night, Tom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, anybody else from the public wish to speak? I don't see any hand raises at this point, so I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
I make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening, and we'll see everybody in about, in August. So take care.